Alrighty, I think we're just going to start. My name is Chan. I am going to be recording some of my thoughts, my experience, mostly my story. And my idea is to communicate and kind of express my story, put it out there in a long form format, which I believe it's probably YouTube is one of the better places out there right now. And so this has been a long time coming. My idea here is to share my story, and my story being the story of a young boy who grew up into being a doctor, who's around 40 years old now, studied internal medicine, wanted to help people. Really, that's been my story. It's really been wanting to help people. Truly, that's what moves me, is to, my heart delights in seeing people feel better. And also I like learning and teaching. Like that's just the way I like learning. I like sharing. I learn better when I teach. And so I want to share my story of what this journey has been for someone who spent most of his life learning internal medicine. And then got really sick over many years, but ultimately got what we call long COVID, and ultimately sort of wasn't helped by internal medicine only. And I had to kind of, like break away all these layers that Euro-colonial teaching and conditioning had put on me of what is right, what is wrong, and stuff like that, and basically like lose all these kind of beliefs and just start from scratch, or as one of my friends had said, empty my cup, and so that I could just be open to it all. And that had to happen for me to survive. It was almost like, I call it my death and rebirth experience. And it wasn't easy. I'm grateful for it though. And so then I basically learned about indigenous medicine or traditional forms of medicine, and that changed me forever. So I'm going to be sharing my experience. I don't mean to invalidate anyone else's experience. I do not expect and will not tolerate my experience being invalidated also. I'm not here to tell you that if you do what I did, you're going to get better. I'm going to tell you is what I learned and what I believe in, and what a lot of the latest science, neuroscience, what we can, whatever we want to call it, is also supporting. But I'm not going to talk a lot about evidence. I think I can be honest, if there's anyone who learns about evidence-based medicine will realize how limited utility it has in everyday life, and how even as a clinician, we had to be very, very discerning of when we actually have to follow so-called evidence-based medicine. Then I do not put that above thousands of years of indigenous wisdom. It's totally okay if you don't agree with that. You do not have to watch this video or follow me. But those are kind of the themes that I'm going to be talking about. Wait 1 second. So yeah, that's going to be generally the idea of what I want to talk about. I will also be talking to other people on this and just generally sharing, all these different connections that have been coming up, which I believe do exist with so many other things. How healing is our personal healing, and individual healing is intrinsically tied to collective healing, to collective consciousness, and is tied to revolutionary work. It's tied to healing the planet from what is right now is end stage capitalism, destroying the planet. And these forces which are destroying the planet, destroying Mother Earth, destroying living beings, that's affecting our health. And so, anyways, that has been my idea. Has been like, and again, this is not my idea. This is not like, this is stuff which came to me through my experience, through my lived experience of pain, suffering, and recovery. I don't, this is stuff that people have known for thousands of years. Don't get me wrong, and there's a lot of things that I'm learning along the way, including a lot of latest in biomedicine and how this is being adopted by a lot of people. This whole division, which is just kind of inbuilt in Euro-colonial thinking, colonial medicine, and even colonial, mostly people who are educated in colonial paradigms, just one good idea of me, right? English language, top of school, well, like, in the top, among the top, and then like, Western medicine. It's division. It's disconnection. That's just how it is. And, you have a mental health problem, you go to a mental health doctor. You have kidney problem, you go to a kidney doctor. It's just everything is divided, everything is disconnected, and that's not how reality works, and that's really not the most efficient way. And we can see that, right? There's millions and millions of people who are not getting help. I'm gonna be wrong. It's still a big problem, and I still currently have to work in Western medicine because there's a lot of people who are dependent on the medications, and that's so. Again, this is not a this versus that, and this is need everything, but just realizing how the landscape of our bodies, minds, and souls, of the planet, of collective consciousness, is much larger than whatever Western medicine explains us to be, which is like, one tiny aspect. Yes, we need biomolecular and maybe even some genetic studies ensure that, but that's not the complete picture. Which is why expanding our landscape, expanding, just our understanding is necessary to heal from all the suffering that is happening, including physical, and I don't think there's any pure physical illness, including all these like chronic complex illnesses for which biomedicine, Western medicine trained doctors don't have an answer, which is why you get gaslit, which is why I was gaslit, which is why I have probably gaslit people in the past, because that's the way the training is, that the mind, body, soul, heart, that doesn't exist. Like the context of your life has got nothing to do with whatever your illness is. It's got zero connection. So here, take this pill, it's going to get better. Bro, that's just not works. Fortunately, that's not. So anyways, I see this expansion happening in a lot of people's consciousness, and I believe like illnesses like this or suffering like this has the potential to open up different things. And that said, we still need research. We do need treatments which can alleviate suffering and even possibly cure. And it's not going to come from pure biomedicine, in my opinion. I think it'll be a holistic approach. Stuff like, traditional Chinese medicine, the research which is happening in China, for example. So there are some models, right? And there's just a lot of wisdom in indigenous medicine itself. But the key thing is going to be the understanding of how this is not, these illnesses are not psychological. As Dr. Ruby Gibson and Paul are one of my mentors, I guess, but I've learned a lot from her. And I remember in her course, she says it's not psychological, which it's not. It's physiological. And the understanding of physiology or neurophysiology or biophysiology in biomedicine is unfortunately limited, despite all this research, because it's still fragmented. And so it's physiological. And there are physiological ways to get out of this, or to alleviate suffering to at least to some extent. Rather than continue to, deepen the divisions of the mind, body, soul, spirit, whatever we want to call it, right? Whatever that is for you. So anyways, this is just going to be my story, what I've been learning, and hopefully I'll be talking to a lot of people. That's my goal, is to talk and share and learn, and again, not to invalidate people who have been harmed by all kinds of medicine. At this point, I know people who've been harmed by regular biomedicine tremendously. People who've been harmed by alternative medicine tremendously. So we're not going to be focusing on this versus that. It's the systems which are involved. And this is not meant to invalidate anyone's experience. I will not tolerate anyone invalidating my experience also. It's going to go on YouTube, first video, and let's see who all joins along. So I, again, just want to share what I've learned, right? I like doing that. I'm going to see you in the next video.